I want you to notice how the sheen is uneven across the floor. That's because this floor wants more finish. It's thirsty. So we're going to vacuum it up real good and we're going to put another coat on. We're going to start off by brushing the perimeter. But the only catch is we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because all finishes have what's called an open window. This open window is the time in which you can still work the finish. Once that open window passes, if you have puddles or you have bare spots and you want to go back over something, you can mess the floor up. It can turn white. It can leave lap lines. It's bad. So you've got to be really respectful of that. This is a water-based finish here, and so it's going to have about a 2 to 5 minute open window depending on the temperature within the house. At the end of the open window, the finish starts to flash over. Essentially, at this point in time, it is starting to turn hard. So we have to keep up a good pace throughout this whole process. There is no stopping unless you get to a doorway or a transition point. With the roller, we're going to work this floor in about 5 by 5 sections. So we're actually going to pour the finish on the wet part of the floor, and we're going to work the puddle towards us. Now, it's going to take a minute for you to get an idea of how much finish to pour. So start off with really thin lines and work your way up. This becomes more and more important the closer to the end you get. As you can see, we're working with the grain of the floor. Now, you can roll across the grain as well, but if you do that, you need to go over it with the grain afterwards. And a lot of manufacturers are actually going to tell you, work the finish sideways, then work it with the grain for the most even coverage. The reason for this is that if you do have mistakes and they go with the length of the boards rather than across them, they're much harder to see. Now, there are other methods of applying the finish. There's a TBar, which has been very popular in the past, but the problem with T-bars is that they don't apply the finish thick enough. So you're not going to get the manufacturer specified coverage rates with most T-bar application. If this is your first time applying a finish, you're definitely going to want to use a roller. I'll put a link to the ones we use down in the description. If your floor is really tight, you can pour your finish on the floor like this, and that's what I would recommend. However, if your floor has a lot of gaps in it, you cannot do this. You'll lose the majority of your finish down into the cracks, and it could even wind up running through down onto whatever is underneath on the floor below. So if that's the case, you're going to want to get a clean bucket from Home Depot and just pour your finish inside of there, and you're actually going to dunk your roller in there every time. It's going to take you just a little bit longer to apply the finish, but it's really not any harder. This part here at the end is the trickiest part. You don't want to get too much finish on the floor, or else you're going to have nowhere to put it, and you're going to be looking for rags to sop it up, or if you're like some floor guys, you're going to push it down one of the air vents in the floor. I can't say I recommend that, by the way. But don't get too much. Just do a little at a time until you've got the perfect amount, and then work it out from as many different angles as you can. Remember, go straight with the grain on the last time, and then get down low, squat down, take a look in the reflection from different angles if you can, just to make sure that you don't have any misses. That's the easiest way to catch a place in the floor that you have missed. The most important thing in this process is to keep moving, make sure it doesn't start tacking over on you, and just work it out as smooth as possible. Anywhere you see little bits of white, you know it's too thick there, and use the squat down and look in the reflection trick to look for misses. As the floor dries, it may take on kind of a funky look like you see here. Some finishes turn purple, some turn white. Don't let this bother you. Don't let it stress you out. It's going to dry out just fine. If the house is at a good temperature, around 70 degrees, a water-based finish should dry in about 2 hours. A oil-based finish should dry in 8 to 10 hours, and an acid cure will give you cancer, so don't use it. I'll drop some links to the roller covers we use down below, as well as to this ultra matte finish, which is pretty awesome. But thanks for watching, and if you like this video, I just did another one, and I'll put it right in the top right-hand corner of your screen.